Turn it up.
Get ready.
You're tuned in to VO Buzz Weekly.
The show where aspiring voice actors,
Established VO pros.
and curious fans alike get to meet and learn.
From the mega successful talent in voiceover. Hear their personal stories. Find out how they became so successful.
Learn their secrets and join them at the top.
Come on and get buzzed with us. We know that you have a dream. Go be all you wanna be. So come on and get buzzed with us.
And now, prepare to get seriously buzzed with your hosts, Chuck Duran and Stacey J. Aswan.
Yes! Thanks for being here with us for a brand new episode of VO Buzz Weekly in our brand new set.
Oh man, I gotta say, I love sitting here, Stacey.
It's really, I kind of feel,
I'm really digging. I could eat.
I'm
I
like
could eat an
hugging,
apple.
I'm like hugging the side. I'm not used to having this much room. It's
The only
great.
thing I don't like about it is that
You're very far away.
I can't. Oh, there you are.
Yes.
There you are.
Well, listen, you guys were with us for the 6 weeks of renovation. Thank you so much. If you haven't seen the process, please check out our YouTube channel for all those videos. It
Absolutely.
was an experience.
It
and a
was
half.
really, really fun to make,
So
and we
worth
hope you
it.
guys enjoyed it. Well, actually,
Yeah.
you did, because those videos have like freaking thousands of views.
I know.
Very, very cool.
Very, very cool. Thank you for all the support and for taking the journey with us. But we are back, and we are kicking off with the fabulous Dave Walsh, incredible voiceover coach, voice actor. He has incredible things to say.
Absolutely. You
And,
guys are going to learn some good stuff
yeah,
today.
Yeah, so let's go. With us is an accomplished voice actor, voiceover coach, studio executive, and director who has over 20 years of experience in commercials, promos, TV narration, branding, and marketing. He does it all.
Wow.
He is also the
I'm
founder.
already impressed.
I know, right? He's also the founder of True Tell, which we're going to talk all about, plus a lot more. So we are so ready to get buzzed with the totally fabulous Dave Walsh.
I'm so buzzed already being here with you guys.
Yay!
I want to
Hi!
This is awesome. So
I
great
wanna-
to
How
see
are
you guys.
Put it there, buddy.
Thanks for
Dude,
being
it's great to
here.
be here. Thank you. In the new digs.
And
The
the new
new
dig.
Which is,
Digs.
I told when I walked in, I was blown away. I'm like, wow, this is really cool.
It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Because you've
We're going
been here.
big.
Yeah, you were here before, so you could
was.
appreciate the expansion.
Yeah. And so I didn't, and I purposely didn't look at any renovations. I didn't look at anything that you put online. I'm going, let me just come in and just kind of see it firsthand,
Okay. Well, now you can go back and watch them
and now go, oh, this is what I missed.
because the process
Yeah.
was pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
It is pretty neat to see like all the stuff that we had to go through in
Yeah.
order to make sure that wall stayed up.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you hear creaking, just go under the chair.
I just will, yeah.
That
yeah.
I'm
chair
feeling
you're
stable
standing
right
on,
now, though.
We had to do a lot to get that chair.
That's why you signed that waiver when you came in.
Yeah, I signed it cautiously.
Anyway.
By the way, if you guys go back and watch this and you watch Stacey carrying these giant boxes that chairs were in, these are the chairs. She was carrying these things like this with two hands. Insane. Anyways.
Now I feel guilty that I haven't watched it because I had no idea how much sweat
All right,
you actually
you know what? Get
endured
out.
to come in here.
Listen,
Get out.
today it's not even about us. It's about you.
She's like, do you know how much it took me to carry the chair you're sitting in?
Hey, can we get into maybe asking
Like
you a few
legitimate
questions?
You want to do something? You want to do some
Do
business
you
stuff?
feel okay?
Yeah, I feel good.
Fantastic. Let's
This is
go
Philly.
for it.
Go
I got
for
a
it.
question for you,
So
Mr.
Oh,
Dave.
shoot.
So spacious. I'm not
So
used to that.
check this out. We know that, from doing radio as a kid in Boston, working in television in Los Angeles. Take us back
Wow, we do
to
research.
how it all began and give us a little backstory on Dave Walsh.
Well, when I started doing some radio stuff in Boston early on in high school and television, and I loved, my two favorite loves were television and radio always. And my dream when I was 5-10 years old was to come to LA and to live here and do what we do. I didn't know what that was at the time, but I thought it would be radio.
Yeah.
So when I went to college and went to school in New York at Hofstra University, and I got a degree in television production, my uncle, who was at the time the head of promotion for Columbia Records for the Northeast U.S., and who had worked in radio for years, obviously said, look, if you want to work in radio, you're going to have to start in Topeka, Cheyenne, Asheville, which sounded so attractive. So for me, I kind of went, yeah, no.
You'd be huge in
It'd be
Nashville.
huge. I'd be huge in, Tuscaloosa. So the first choice I made was coming here. This is exactly what I
Yeah.
wanted. So I went to work in television. I went as a talent agent assistant first, and then became a publicist. And had never really pursued the radio side of the business, and just kind of immersed myself in Hollywood and learned the business. First of all, working as a talent agent assistant, doing deal memos, everything from thank you notes, knowing where every studio was, phone numbers, all the ridiculous nitty-gritty
And
grunt
by
stuff.
talent agent assistant, like what kind of talent are we talking about?
It was literary and directors and DPs.
Okay.
But the whole basis of how the business ran, how Hollywood ran, was, I mean, I went back to school to learn how this town ran and our business ran. So I always find that was the most that was a beneficial 2 years. And then when I became a publicist, I worked for Art Uleen, who was the family doctor on the Today Show. So I became a medical television. I became a publicist, but learned the world of pitching, learned the world of branding and marketing and all of that, which was cool. In the middle of it, one day I happened to be walking through Samuel French bookstore in Hollywood that we all know and love so much.
Iconic store, yes.
Absolutely iconic. And I brought this little show and tell.
We love show and tell.
A little show and tell. This is a book that was sitting on a shelf called Word of Mouth, which you guys know, obviously, written by the legendary Sue Blue and Molly Ann Mullen. And the book, what attracted me to it was the microphone in the front. It was just, it was so colorful. The ladies did their marketing homework. They were very smart.
Yeah, very inviting.
And it just says a word of mouth, a guide to commercial voiceover excellence. And I kind of went, I saw the mic, but didn't know what voiceover was. So I took the book, bought it, and just started flipping through it. Well, when I went back to the office, another friend of mine who wasn't in the business wanted to take a workshop. And we were just talking about it. And I was flipping through the names in the middle of the book. And there were these pictures of all these voice actors who some of us know and love very, very well. Bo Weaver, Samantha Paris, who's been on your show, obviously, and Bo, Sue Blue. And then I came to a guy named Tom Pinto, who we all know is a legendary name in our business.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to the friend on the phone, and I hang up the phone, and the woman in the next cubicle says, "Did you just mention Tom Pinto?" And I said, "Yes, why?" She said, "That's my brother."
No!
My goodness.
So she said he works at a studio called Voice Tracks West, which is 3 buildings down from where we were on Cahuenga West. Would you like to meet him? I said, sure. I was 25, I had nothing to lose, and I met Tom and Nick O'Mana, and took my first workshop with them 26 years ago. And those two guys, I still credit, they were my first teachers, they were my first coaches. And this book, before I came over here, I wanted to bring it to show you guys, because it was the thing that really introduced me to our world.
Yeah.
And the people in it are legendary. So many of them are still in the business. Obviously, Andrea Romano, and just so many of these great folks. And this was my Bible. This was the thing that got me into it.
Isn't it something how sometimes it's this tiny little thing, you're just walking around and something pops in your face.
Totally.
You don't understand it.
There's no accidents.
You don't know what it is, and years later, that little thing right there is responsible for a lot of who you are.
Yeah. It really is.
That's neat.
Yeah, and the thing that was weird was when I was taking the workshops, I moved on to mainstream television at Paramount Television, which is now CBS, after all the mergers that happened.
Yep.
And I went to work in research and marketing for the television group. So I was involved in all the marketing and research for all of our syndication programs, like Entertainment Tonight and Hard Copy at the time, all the talk shows, all our iconic TV shows like Star Trek, Cheers and Frasier. And I mean, it was at a time in the 90s when television was syndication, which was such a huge part of our promo business for our guys and gals. It was massively lucrative. There was so much work for actors. There was so much, there's just so much available. The last part of that story about Paramount was my office in the Roddenberry building on the lot at Paramount faced what we call the tank, which is this big tank where they fill with water to do all their special effects and movies and stuff. And the guy who was the announcer for the Arsenio Hall show parked his caddy in front of my window every day. And his license plate simply said VO guy.
Wow.
So every day I sat in that
Wait a
office.
minute. Wasn't that Joe Cipriano?
No, it was not Sip. And I sat there every day going, how do I get from being in here to being there. And I stayed at Paramount. Then I started getting my first agents, and I was double shadowing everything.
Yeah.
And so I had a pager, and I would go to Tischerman. Abrams was my first agency, and then I went to Tisch, and they were incredible. But I would literally go between auditions every day, between the studio and then to Tisch and go back.
Yeah.
So I lived that life for a number of years, and then before I jumped off and consulted in marketing, and then started trying to make VO my day job.
So tell us a little bit about how the whole VO stuff, because now you got into the beginning part, which is
Yeah.
very interesting. We love that stuff.
Let's
'cause
get to the good
that's what it's
stuff.
all
Yeah.
made of.
Yeah.
But give us some good stuff, baby.
Yeah, so when I had hooked up and started coaching heavily with Maurice Tobias, who's just the legend in this business, and then started working seriously with CESD and with Debbie Cope, who is still I adore, and really started getting into and working in commercial and promo and narration and trailer. The wonderful thing that happened to me was I was able to work in every part of VO that there is, including animation and video games. So that really took off about 15, 16 years ago, and really became just this thing of having worked so hard at it. And it is such a craft that we know. It's not this kind of thing where you've got to put the hours and the muscle into it to really make it that kind of a career. And having worked with such incredible legends in this business, I've been so fortunate. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, and that's what makes you such an effective coach, is because you were doing narration for shows like Fear Factor and Big Brother and Biggest Loser, and you were doing network promo and syndicated promo and commercial and campaigns, and so you really have not only from what I love is when all the pieces of life come together. You have your marketing background, you have your performance background, and so it really can inform you from so many different places as a coach.
Yeah, and the thing that actually worked for me, and I say this to talent all the time, is I work with my agents. I would call meetings at CESD every quarter, and literally with the promo agents, with the commercial, with the animation, et cetera, and talk about the next projects that we want to look for the next quarter. Not because I didn't trust them, but because that's the world I came from.
Yeah.
So I say to actors all the time, your agents and your managers you're lucky to have them, but don't make them do all the grunt work, because in 2016, nobody has the time anymore.
It's true.
And it's really about a self-motivated, marketed career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when
Gotta
you
be
got
that
voiceover,
way.
there were 6 people in the industry.
Totally. There were only
Now
6
they're
of us.
like
And we're on reel
hundreds
to
and
reel.
hundreds.
We all
Now
had
they're
reel
like
to reel
thousands.
demos.
And 3
You
were
could
your
throw
older
a rock and you're a
personalities.
voice actor.
That was it. Yeah, completely. Totally. It's like, just, you had like a roster of that many people.
Yeah.
But
Let me ask you something, man. Do you feel that anybody can be a voice actor?
no.
Well, why?
Would you like to expand on that?
Explain.
Because the whole aspect of any form of acting is storytelling. And there is a knack to telling a story, and I think that because of technology exploding, as we know, that we have home studios all over the country, all over the world, and with the advent of Source Connect and IBDTL, which is the newest patching system for recording, and just the ability for people to think that they can do it that way, it's not that kind of a business. And I've had clients come to me who think they can do it. And I'm sure you guys have had the same situation where people want to come to you to do a demo. It's just not that. It doesn't respect our business for what we do, for the years we put into it, and the years that and the dedication and respect that we should have to this business in any form of acting.
Yeah.
But I think because it's not in front of the camera, some people think that it's easier just to pick up a script and to read it.
It's just reading.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. No, it really is a lot more.
If you could capsulize kind of the key components that you need to have to be a voice actor in 2016 and beyond, what do you think that would be?
Okay, well, first of all, I mean, people want to use the voice or the sound of the voice as the thing. Like, that's the thing that'll sell you. Is that a key part of it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's really being able to tell the story from your authentic point of view. I always say the voice will follow. The voice is going to be the air that the story sits on. That if the story you're telling is true, hence true tell, which we'll get to. If you tell the story that's true, the voice is going to follow. The voice is going to tell the story based on who you're talking to, why you're telling that person, what's the context of how you're telling the story.
Right.
Because I always use a dinner party as an example. You'd never go to a dinner party, turn to somebody in the room and go, yeah, I'm going to tell you a story. I have absolutely no idea why I'm telling it to you, but and it may take me a few tries to get to it. I may flub the first few times.
You should
but I'll just keep
believe
telling
me.
you. Yeah, you'll never go back to that dinner
Yeah,
party.
yeah.
So that's kind of, from my perspective, why would you tell a story that's not true? You can feel it when you come out of the booth, or you guys have had it, situations where you're trying to get a performance out of an actor, you just can't get it because they're not connected to the story.
Yeah.
And it's easy enough for us to say, just talk to me. That literally goes over everyone's head.
Right.
Yeah.
It just
Right.
doesn't connect for them, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this means a lot to us because you shared with us a very powerful, life-changing story that you have not put out widely to the world.
No.
But you said to us that you felt like it was time and you wanted to tell this story. And so first of all, know that we're honored and that
Absolutely.
you're very safe and our viewers love you and you're very safe there. So,
Thank you.
This is something that has really impacted your work and your life
Yeah.
and how you coach and how you live. So thank you for sharing that
I
with
appreciate
us.
it. Absolutely, absolutely. About 10 years ago, I was in a voiceover session and my voice cut out. It was in a special session for the WB. It was a promo. And it was a word that began with a vowel, and the vowel cut off. And the director said, Dave, let's go back and take that again. So I went back and took it, and it kept dropping out. And then it was sporadic. Then it started happening with consonants, then sentences, then paragraphs, and it became this thing where I couldn't trust that my voice was solid. Was told it was reflux, then I was told that it was a hernia, it was all kinds of stuff, and I ended up having stomach surgery to correct the reflux because they said that was what was causing my throat problems. And at the same time this was happening, I was told, don't tell anyone, don't tell your agents, don't tell your managers, don't tell anyone. And so I was basically living in a closet and not letting anybody know about this, and ended up having the stomach surgery and went back 5 months later and the voice was no different. Went to UCLA, they told me I had an incurable neurological disorder and that I had to
Incurable
neurological disorder. And I said to the doctor at the time, I need you to take this phone number, call my agent.
Was this like at the top of your career?
Yeah, this was at the
Yeah.
top of the career. And I said, you need to call my agent, Jeff Danis, at DPN and tell him my career is over. That's it. Because when I walked out of there, I said, there's no hope. And I called my ex at the time, and he said, well, at least you know what it is. I said, are you hearing me? I said, this is, and he meant well, obviously.
Right. Of
But in
course.
my viewpoint was like, what do I do? So I ended up finding a doctor in Brentwood who treated the disorder. My ENT, Manny Zadeh, God bless you, Manny, said to me he found a doctor in Brentwood who treated the disorder non-invasively. They wanted to put Botox in my vocal cords. It was crazy.
Wow.
So I eventually went to this doctor who said to me, yeah, you're speaking in the wrong part of your voice. And I said, I'm sorry, I need to hear that again. He said, you're speaking in what we call the vocal identity. That for men, particularly in our business, that promos, trailers, narration, which I had done extensively, I was speaking from the laryngeal part of my voice. All good and great voices come from the mask of the face, and you guys being singers know that it all gets projected from the structure of the face.
Right.
You speak from the diaphragm, you push the air out through the vocal cords. In trailer, in promo, and in video games, definitely, a lot of times to add that extra masculinity, men will drop their pitch into the lower throat and project from here. The body's not designed to do that. So years and years and years of my trying to make my voice like Reno Romano, Jim Tasker, Scott Rummel, my compatriots and these awesome guys in our business, I wasn't trying to sound like them, but being competitive with a rasp and a deeper voice, it booked me. I was booking and booking and booking. It was insane. But by the end of the day, quick story, Andy Lerner, who we all know, Andy's a wonderful casting director in our business. I was doing I was the voice of Hyundai for 3 years, and every time I'd go to Radio in the Nude in Santa Monica to record, I would come out of the booth bathed in sweat from head to toe because I was projecting from here trying to sound cool. Hyundai loved the read, but one day I walked in the booth and Andy had cases of water stacked in the booth, and I go, "Did your water cooler break?" He goes, "Dude, those are for you. You are drinking us out of house and home." I thought I was just exhausted in my voice. My body was overworking trying to project a voice from my throat and not the mask on my face. So all of this cut to, finally I got to work with this doctor in Santa Monica or in Brentwood, and I worked with people all over the world with the same condition. I'd go to DPN to audition in the morning, then I'd go to a session, then I'd go to him to train and coach, and then I'd work with clients for 6 hours a day from all over the world who had no voices and teaching them how to move their voice into the mask of their face. So again, I went back to school.
Wow.
But no one knew
But
we
this
were
was
doing
all
this.
undercover.
All undercover.
Yeah.
And
That must have been so draining on you.
I said to you in one of the breaks, I painted the windows black. I really thought that my career was over.
Yeah.
And the fact that I couldn't talk to anyone about it, and I started to coach and started to say, what do I have to offer other than my career and what I've learned from the amazing coaches I worked with? But then I realized it was about speaking authentically with a voice that was mine. And so the doctor had said to me, just so you know, when you go back to work, they're not going to know what you're doing. They're going to love what you're doing. And I kept saying, Mort, you're out of your mind. They're never going to book me. Dean Panaro.
It must have felt like you were hearing when you started going into your mask. Did you feel like you were hearing someone else's voice?
I thought it was an animated character.
Yeah.
Huh.
It sounded
Like helium.
like I'm in my mask now. This was the voice I was using before. I can't even do it anymore. It has no life to it. But it was on the WB Saturday. I mean, it literally was a voice that was so inauthentic, but they were buying it. Of course, back then it sounded different, but. Yeah, so I ended up.
You see, you were going to say something about Dean Panaro.
Yeah, so what happened was when I went back after I started really working aggressively with the doctor, Dean Panaro booked me on a 5-year campaign with Shell with Tom Sharp. Tom and I were the Shell guys for 5 years after that. And so the doctor said to me, and he was this old curmudgeon, Walsh, I'm telling you, they're gonna love the voice.
Yeah.
They don't know. They have no idea. They don't know what they're liking, but they love it. It sounds
gorgeous.
great. And it did. It booked me. So I came out of it going, I really can do this. So I incorporated working with actors that authentically and saying, if you're using a voice that's not yours, you can feel it when you're not doing it. And that created the True Tell in the sense that it was offering something different. That if you're working inauthentically, it just feels like crap. It sounds like crap and it feels like crap. So I can hear.
Can't sustain it.
And I can hear when an actor's doing it immediately.
Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah.
especially trailer guys or promo guys, will come to me and be exhausted, and I would literally shift it up, and the voice comes out so beautifully.
Yeah.
But we're also vocally focused in our business. This is our business.
Yeah.
But it really was a huge shift in
Wow,
perspective.
man.
And the thing for me was, it really made me realize that coaching and directing, I love working as a performer, but this feeds me every single day in a way that VO as an actor never did. It's a very different tract of the.
Yeah.
They both can coexist,
Yeah.
but it's a totally different world.
Yeah, well, that's
sometime-
that thing that feels like a punishment. It becomes your biggest blessing.
That's what I was going to
kidding,
say.
yeah.
Sometimes, a thing that sounds like it could be like, the doomsday.
Dude,
Doomsday becomes like
Yeah.
something that you share
Yeah.
with others and help others with, in a miracle way.
Yeah, I'm so blessed. First of all, for you guys to even have this opportunity for me to come and talk to you about it. But again, it's knowing that it's something that everybody can benefit from, whether you're a voice actor or
Absolutely.
not.
Right.
Well, it's very brave of you to do that, and I know
Absolutely.
that somebody out there, many people out there are probably thinking, when things are falling apart, they're falling into place, and you're probably someone speaking of hope right now. So
Yeah,
thank
Thank you
you
for sharing us.
Thank
Absolutely,
you.
absolutely.
Appreciate it, buddy.
You're welcome.
So you're telling me, Dave.
Wait, hold on.
So hold
We
on.
have a rebuttal.
Taking the story back. No, you're telling me that. So is it bad for me to talk like this? So if I'm doing promos all day long and I'm like, tonight on CBS,
Right.
and I'm kind of talking like this, is that bad? Or
No,
can I not?
it's for the short term, for a session, an audition, or whatever. Yeah, I mean,
Just
people
nail
would
it
come
in
back
one
and
take.
going, wait, this is an acting business. It's not all about keeping one voice.
Right.
It's more about if you need to go into the throat, know to come out of it. And using a technique that I use with actors called hum talking, where you hum, and I learned this from the Dr. Mort Cooper, was if you hum the first bar of Happy Birthday, that's where the voice naturally sits in your pitch.
I see. Oh, you can feel it.
You can feel it. It's
like the
literally
resonating-
buzzing in your face.
Yeah.
That if you drop it in your throat to do, give me your promo voice.
The pervy promo guy.
Give me the pervy promo guy.
promo, because Perry promo is different than promo voice.
Okay, give me promo
Perry
first.
promo would be like, tonight on an all-new Stacy Live.
Exactly. So the mic is doing the work.
Yeah.
The
Right.
voice is killer.
Yeah.
But just to know to come out of it. Now, my big problem
So I
was
shouldn't
that
go around all day talking like
Yeah,
this.
like
You-
I did.
People will think
You were
did.
so-
I did it every
Dave is
single
so
day.
dedicated
That's
that you
crazy.
didn't come out of it. It's like staying in
Never.
your character when
all
you
the
step
time.
off stage.
To
Yeah.
compete with my buddies, it was kind of to know to be in that zone all day long.
Wow.
It just eventually just pulled out. But
Yeah.
now it's kind of just in terms of how we coach now, it's if you need to use that voice, it's using the voice and telling a story that's absolutely true. You can be in that voice,
Yeah.
but the story has to be completely authentic from top to bottom.
Well, speaking of
Yes.
true from
Yes.
top to bottom, why is it? And maybe you don't know the answer to this. Hey,
He does.
call us
Maybe,
in. The
who
number is
knows?
555
I bet he does.
5555.
I'm saying he does for 20.
Thank you.
Why is it so
Somebody has faith in
difficult,
me.
Dave? As you know, you're a teacher and you probably run into this like every single day of your life. But why is it so difficult for voice actors to just be real and to be themselves?
It's because they think, because as actors, we're people pleasers, first of all, first and foremost, and we think we know what they want. I always say to actors, never look at the specs. Specs are the last thing you look at because that's how it's supposed to sound. It's not about what they want you to be. Warm, conversational, irreverent, and authentic, authoritative, that's how it's supposed to sound.
Yeah.
That's not what you're supposed to be. If you set up the story truthfully, the who, what, when, where, and why of a story creates the how. It creates how it sounds.
You're right. Yeah.
So I always say to actors, it's if you create that story authentically, your voice is going to take care of itself. The voice will shift based on who you're talking to and why.
Yeah.
You talk to Stace different than you talk to me, than talk to Paz, or talk to anyone else, because you have a different relationship with these people, and the
Yeah.
voice will shift itself. We don't notice it because it's totally subconscious.
Yeah.
Well, if I say this to you, does this mean anything to you? I'm quoting you back to yourself.
All right.
Proactively
He's like, wait a minute,
versus
that's called me.
reactively. Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's you. Yeah, you're basically saying proactively versus I hate you, Stacey.
Do you want me to read it to you exactly?
Would you
Yeah, I will.
read it?
Okay. Where's my?
What do
where's
you
mine?
want?
Are you referring to?
What do you want?
Are you referring to
a recent article
proactive marketing and reactive?
that you're basically that you should
This was
focus
in
on
Backstage.
proactively telling the story
Instead of
and reactively trying to figure out what you think they want.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's what. Wow.
Can I get a little something there?
Damn,
Right.
girl, you're good.
Listen, I
You
want to
know
make
what's
it worth your
funny? You are
time.
really,
Okay, so you
really
know what's
good.
funny about Stacy is that I will actually
So many things.
work with somebody doing a demo. I'm spending hours with somebody doing a demo, and Stacy will just meet them for 3 seconds. A year later, this has happened many times actually. A year later, I might see that person, and they're like, "Hey, Chuck, how are you, man?" I'm like, "Hey, dude, what's going on?" And she's like, "Hi, Oliver." And I'm like, "How do you remember this?"
She's got like bullet points in her head.
Yeah,
She's like, and
so-
Oliver is he hails
Oliver
from New
is,
York.
And she's never wrong.
I know
ever,
his
ever,
specs.
ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
So
like,
it's
I
for
need,
Have that brain.
can I have her in a tote and take her around
Man,
town with me?
I'll probably
rent
fit
her.
in your
I swear to
tote.
God.
She's
yeah.
for rent.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but I think you're.
I want to make it worth your time. Because I thought that was really powerful.
Yeah, it was. I think if you proactively really just spend the time, taking the time to tell the story, and instead of just kind of reactively saying, what is it that they want from me? What is it supposed to sound like? When you get a script, sometimes we treat it as a piece of paper, but taking the time to figure out how you tell the story your way, and I
Yeah.
know that we say that over and over again, but from where I sit, it's kind of like if you act as producer of the spot from top to bottom, you can't lose.
Yeah.
Visuals, who you're talking to, why you're telling the story. If all that is laid out, you can't lose.
Right.
Because
Absolutely.
it's your
It's your
baby from the
story.
beginning.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And then
And
your
it's your
voice
opinion,
follows.
And then the voice will
Yeah,
follow.
and not only that, when
Yeah.
you have an opinion, a strong opinion about something that you're talking about, people listen.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's a little passion involved.
Totally. And when you sit back, instead of sitting forward in it, sitting back in it,
Right.
just sitting back in the chair and telling the story,
Right.
let the mic do the work. You know, it just makes such a difference.
Yeah.
Right.
Really does.
So that would, because this is my next question, but I think you kind of answered
Go.
it. So that would essentially be
Are you
the key
peeking? He's
to
peeking.
connecting. So would that be essentially the key to connecting with the copy, or is there a different? Yeah, that would
Oh,
be,
absolutely. Because if you, instead of sitting in a booth I'll have clients call me and say, oh my God, I spent an hour and 15
been in my
minutes in the
booth for an
booth.
hour, yeah.
Literally going over and spinning and spinning and spinning.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, what was the story you told? Well, I thought it was, I assumed that the company was such and such. You spent an hour and 15 minutes assuming.
Yeah.
Or contemplating or speculating. I'm like, would you do that at the dinner table?
Yeah.
Or at a party? It's taking it, it's every form of human communication
Yeah.
where, and I work this with my corporate clients too, when we've taken the True Tell to a corporate level as well, is just, you wouldn't have the conversation at a dinner party. Why would you do it in business, whether
Yeah.
it's entertainment or anything else? So it's really applicable to actors, but it's also applicable elsewhere.
Right.
What I want every performance, whether it's promo, commercial, narration, trailer, imaging, whatever, come out of the booth feeling good.
Yeah.
Come out of the booth feeling good about the
Yeah.
story you just
Right,
told.
right. So True Tell,
Yes.
which is trademarked, by the
Ma'am.
way.
Yeah, before we get into
Oh,
True Tell, can I
okay.
just say something about
Yes.
Dave?
Oh,
I'm going to
Dave.
brag about you a little
Okay.
bit.
Oh, dude.
But, so through the
Buckle
years,
in, Dave.
through the years,
your life.
Dave and I have had we've worked on several demos together
Yeah.
with people.
Yeah.
And
Which I love doing with him.
people that you've been coaching with or that you've been coaching, and then they coming in to do a demo and stuff. And one thing that I've always noticed, man, with the people that you coach is that when they come in, they are so connected to who they are. It's almost like,
So
and it's really
cool
freaky
you say
because
that.
there's other people that come, from, other, and there's other coaches that I love too. So we're not
Right.
putting anybody down
No,
here.
no.
But I do know that when you come in, you're almost like the freaking guy with the whip. It's like, no, what did I tell you about that? That's what he says. He's like, no, what did I tell you about that? And then they go, oh yeah, that's right. And then all of a sudden, bam, and it's right there. And I love
The
that.
benevolent dictator.
Remember when I yelled at you yesterday?
Yeah, no, but I really love that
Remember
you
that
plant
dent in the
these
back of your head?
Yeah.
seeds in them that they can
Yeah.
recall
Yeah.
to get them where they need to be and how they need to be and all that stuff, which
Right.
is really, 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 really
Well,
cool.
you're very Stanislavski, like with the substitution. I mean, you really,
Right.
you really kind of
Well, and
help
that- and
people
part
if
of
they
that is-
can't necessarily, maybe they've never driven that car or they don't have that food in their, experience.
Right.
How can they still be invested in
Right,
it?
but the thing about that too is that in part of that Stanislavski technique, obviously, and I give that credit to Maurice Tobias because that is such a huge part of my training, that part of the substitution. But for me, it's more of telling the story. It's not even having to do the substitution. It's telling the story from your perspective in your own way. Because if you try to fit a square peg into a round hole, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if I said,
Yeah.
tell the story the way Stacy would tell it. That's really hard.
Yeah,
'cause
exactly.
you're not Stacy.
But then every woman competing against her, every guy competing against me is going to be like, well, Stacy tells it like this.
But that's
So
reactive.
It's totally reactive. That's totally
That's
reactive.
bad. Reactive
And
is
we're back to
bad.
square one.
Scene.
And we're back to square one. So what I was going to say to you was, speaking about having the clients, first of all, thank you for that. compliment.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. And actually, there's a client of mine who is a client of yours that's coming in a few weeks to work with you, and I was working with her yesterday on the copy that you guys have generated. It's beautiful.
Oh, beautiful.
work. But giving her alternate takes, because I said, Chucky's going to make me want to use this or this or this. Give him options for the interp so that she's not coming in with one note.
Right.
So that for me is, it's
yeah.
out of respect for her craft, but also for you, kind of
Yeah,
saying,
and I appreciate
let's
that.
not find that in
Well,
the middle of the session.
Exactly,
Right.
and
You know?
every director is going to take you somewhere a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's not better, it's not worse. It's just a little bit different. So, as a talent, you need to be kind of moldable,
Right.
to those things.
And the thing that I love too
Well,
is
thank
that
you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
you're welcome,
that.
dude. Absolutely. Speaking of the methods and the curriculum, is that there's so many, some great coaches that you've had on the show already, and people that I respect. Obviously, Jeff Howell and Jody and Joyce Castellanos, and there's so many, and Samantha Paris
Yeah.
and Maurice, as I mentioned. That there's so many. There's so many techniques and so many different ways of coaching, and I think that people should sample, all of us, and get different techniques of what works for them. And I think that's such the blessing, is that with technology we can work with clients all over the world. I've worked with
Yeah.
clients in
Right,
South Africa.
Yep.
Right.
It's great, but that we're accessible to talent everywhere versus just being in LA, which is the way I grew up.
How
So-
accessible are you? How can the good people find you?
I am accessible
Dave
all
Walsh?
the time. Just let me sleep every once
That's
in a while.
good. Okay.
You know,
take
I
out
like
your
my
pencils.
QVC. He's on Twitter. He's on the Twitter.
I'm on the Twitters. I do the Twitters and the Facebook and the Instagram. I'm just getting on the Vines.
Oh yes,
Oh.
that's
I'm doing
a
the
Swing it on the
Vines now
Vines.
too. Yeah, absolutely.
And Periscope. Oy,
Abs- I don't. That's
So,
scary.
So
so
invasive.
how do we get a hold of
Yeah, what's the
Dave
best way
Walsh
if people
to
want
work
to?
with him?
Is it email? Is it your Walsh Voiceover Coaching? What is
it's
it?
the website walshvoiceovercoaching.com. WALSH.
Right there on the
right
screen.
there. Email, Facebook. I'm on as well. Instagram and Twitter. But then we can work pretty much Skype, FaceTime, IBDTL, Source Connect, ISDN. I mean, it's great because I have the ability to coach
Right.
any which way.
Yeah.
So, and I always say to actors all the time, the story is going to follow you everywhere. We could work from our car, the closet, Margarita Mix in Hollywood. Here, the story. It doesn't matter where you are. Let the story tell itself.
Right.
It'll tell it wherever
Are
you are. It doesn't matter.
because some coaches kind of say you need to have a certain level of experience before you come to me.
Yeah.
What would you say? Are you someone that's someone who's just breaking in, or are you working with people that you want to have a little bit of dirt on your shoes?
Yeah, I
so
think
to
that
speak?
people, on the whole, unless it's somebody who
Dirt on your
comes-
I don't know where
Did you
that
say
came-
dirt on your shoes?
I did.
I just
What
got
kind of
that. I'm
dirt
like,
on your
you had a little
shoes?
dirt on your shoes.
And how much dirt
Got
on
a
your
little-
How much are you
Is it
talking about?
money?
Dirt on your shoe, not red clay mud, but what?
Exactly.
Back
Well,
to you.
I was originally doing when I first started coaching workshops, intros, which to me, it was too much. Most of the clients I work with have some form of voiceover career, including working pros. If you're new, it's coming from recommendations from other actors, agents, managers. If it's just somebody coming off the street, not necessarily. It's really, in wanting to have a passion for it. If you have the passion for it,
Yeah.
that's one thing. If you're dabbling to figure out a new career, not so
Right.
much.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Right.
I mean, and it's not.
You're Boston strong. You're
And
no
Boston
joke,
strong. Come on now.
Walsh.
No, but I think it's really respecting our business
Yeah.
and respecting their time, because the world is full of ambulance chasers, and luckily, we live with our small group of folks. We're not that, but we have a respect for the craft
Yeah.
Right.
and for other people's time and money.
But
so,
also, you have a very in-depth, all-encompassing process.
Yeah.
So you really need to have a certain amount of confidence
Right.
in front of the microphone to really take advantage of what you have to offer.
Right.
So it's really in everyone's best interest. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like you're just being elitist. Oh, I only work with people that are
No,
pros.
not at
But
all.
you have to
Not
have
at
that
all.
confidence so that you can be open and free
Right.
to dive in and try what you're
Yeah.
asking people
Absolutely,
to do.
yeah. I mean, and I think all the clients I've had have been that way. Several of them, a few of them that came in, they didn't really pursue voiceover. Nothing is more disheartening than when you have a talent that is so good and they fall off
Yeah.
the radar. Not because they went to somebody else, they just stopped pursuing it and went
Yeah.
back to on camera or did something like that. So
Yeah.
but
Let me ask you something,
Go,
and I
dude.
might be putting you on the spot a little bit here.
Again?
Well, just a little bit. And this
Might
is
have dirt
not
on my shoe.
again. I always tell people, this is never to
This
put
is the
anybody.
TMZ portion of the show.
Yeah, exactly. This is never to put anybody down. All right, we're not saying that, but
Don't name names,
a lot
Chuck.
of people,
we
you know,
go.
may ask me, hey, Chuck. I was going to say Scott. My name's
Hey,
not
Scott.
Scott.
Yeah, I was going to say, where's Scott coming
Hey,
from?
Scott.
This just in, the
Chuck.
Stacey and
they
Scott
might say,
show.
Hey, Chuck. What is it about you as a demo producer that what would be the advantage of me doing a demo with you as opposed to maybe doing a demo with somebody else?
Right.
And I know that there's some advantages of what I do, but in your as you as a coach and,
Right.
and with your background and everything, do people ever ask you that? And if they do, like how do you answer that? Like what do you feel are a few things that you have that give you the edge?
I think that the thing for me is, and again, like I said, respecting all of my fellow
of
coach
course, yes.
compatriots.
Yeah.
I think honestly, and I'm not even kidding about this, just the experience I've had in the last, first of all, the whole career, but in the last 10 years, really was something that defined my coaching for me, is that offering something. I've been in that situation where I have talent who have been in this business for years, who sit outside their booth,
Yeah.
and it becomes therapy because I've had clients trying to get them back into the booth.
Yeah.
They're petrified to get back in. They found a roadblock because their voice is gone, or they don't. There's an element of what I do that I've experienced as a coach, that whether it's vocal loss, whether it's not being able to find the story, whether it's frustration with getting an agent, keeping an agent, how to market and how to have that relationship, and having
Yeah.
been a talent agent assistant, I know how agents think.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and having had an amazing manager in Debbie Cope for so many years, and someone who I value, knowing the relationships of how the actor and the rep work, all of that together is something different that I offer.
Yeah.
You know, and I love having that experience. And
That
Yeah.
is cool.
Yeah.
So you're giving them a lot. There's
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff
Passion.
that
It's
you've
so cool.
learned
But
that,
dude,
that
He's passionate. I
It's
love
cool.
it.
Yeah, and I feel like I go to bed at night now. I'm not kidding you. When I was really struggling between trying to work and trying to keep it under wraps, and I would go home and my partner would say to me, "You're miserable." Like I was just miserable. And now because coaching has become such the focal part of my career and how I help people every day, just kind of find that authenticity. I find when they walk out feeling good about telling a story that's true for them.
Yeah.
They walk out feeling jazzed and so on fire.
Yeah.
And I go to bed at night and it sounds really woo-woo, but I want to go to bed going, I really did something good today. I really
powerful.
feel
That's really
feel that, you know,
Yeah.
it's very cool.
yeah. Well, you know, that's because you're
You're
not
good
lying to
people.
yourself.
We
Dave.
try to be good people.
Well, there you go. We got part 1 with Dave Walsh. We're going to be next week with part 2. Be there.
You don't want to miss it. And keep up with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, you guys. Thank you so much. We love you. And thank you for watching and supporting our show. It means the world to us and our team. So just remember, Chuck, what?
You
always have time for a little buzz.
Come on, come on, come on and get buzzed with us.
VO Buzz Weekly is sponsored by Chuck Duran's Demos That Rock. The voiceover demo producer to the stars is now available to you. Visit demosthatrock.com and take your voiceover career to the next level.
See you next time, and remember, you always have time for a little buzz.